Affliction League is right around the corner, so today I want to talk about my plans for the league start. So every league, my plan is always to farm Mage Blood as fast as possible, mostly because I think that playing with Mage Blood is just way more fun. Last league I was able to buy it around day 3 or 4, but this time around I want to do something different. So what I want to do is I want to farm no-hit run Sanctums for the original Sin as fast as possible, preferably starting on day 3. That's why I'm not gonna go for the Mage Blood immediately, because I'm gonna need to spend a lot of currency for the gear, because hit runs require a lot of damage. So now I want to talk about how I am planning to achieve that, what build I'm gonna play, and hopefully it's gonna give you a little bit of an insight into how I am planning my league starts. So for the no-hit runs, I have a few ideas for the builds, but I decided to go with Stormbrand. Mostly because I already did no-hit runs with that build during the Sanctum League, and it was pretty good. It has a very good damage, it off-screens pretty well, it attacks super fast, so enemies are always frozen. The only issue is budget. For the regular Stormbrand build, to be able to do no-hit runs without any issues, you would need Mage Blood and another few hundred divines for other gear. But fortunately, I am not gonna play a regular Stormbrand version. I'm gonna make it specifically just for the no-hit runs, so I don't have to invest into defense and clear. So that makes build a lot cheaper. On top of that, I'm gonna try to do it without Mage Blood at the beginning. Of course, eventually I'm gonna get it, but before I do, I'm gonna have to use Flask normally and invest into some Flask duration and charge generation, so I still have pretty good mobility, because mobility is another important thing for no-hit runs. For now, I don't have PoE prepared, but as soon as I have it, I'm gonna post it in my Discord, so if you are interested in that, I'm gonna link it in the description. Okay, so the goal is to do no-hit runs on Stormbrand, preferably around day 3. That means that for the first 2 to 3 days, I have to farm as much currency as possible, hopefully around 100 divines, maybe even more, but I don't have to do it on Stormbrand because that character is gonna be made specifically just for no-hit run Sanctums, so I can farm currency for it with something else. So how I am planning to farm that currency? Well, in the past 2 leagues, I did a strategy that worked really well for me, and I could do it again for the full week, but I am a bit bored of it, so that's why I'm planning to do no-hit runs. But still, that strategy is crazy, so I am gonna use it to farm the first 100 to 200 divines, and that strategy is Bestiary Memories. This time around though, I am gonna focus a bit more on using the beast myself instead of selling them, and I'm gonna do some beast crafting. Maybe I'm gonna even buy beasts from people so I can do craft like Awakened Gem rerolls, Watcher Eye rerolls, and Synthesis Implicit rerolls. The good thing about memories is that you don't need any Atlas progression, and you can do it in white maps, which is perfect because I'm gonna go for no-hit runs anyway, so I don't really need any Atlas progression. So I can just focus on making currency. The bad thing about it is that memories can be pretty expensive, and you can't really do them on day 1 because there is just not enough of them on trade, so it's more of a day 2 strategy. So the plan so far is to farm Bestiary Memories and do beast crafting on day 2 to farm 100 to 200 divines, spend it on Stormbrand build, level up character, and start doing no-hit runs. The last thing I had to figure out is the day 1, so I can farm enough currency to buy memories, and that strategy would determine my league starting build. So since I already established that I don't need any Atlas progression, I should do some kind of strategy outside of Atlas. So either Heist, Logbooks, Blighted Maps, or Sanctums. I'm not super confident in doing Sanctums on day 1, and since I am gonna do no-hit runs anyway eventually, I would prefer to start with something else. And for the remaining strategies, so Logbooks, Heist, and Blighted Maps, there is one build that I'm very familiar with, and it is good for all 3 of those strategies and doesn't require that much investment. And that build is Toxic Rain. The reason for it is that if you go for Heist, you can go Raider, that gives perma onslaught for movement speed, and also perma phasing, which in my opinion is the most important thing for farming Heist, because it allows you to skip a lot of monsters by running straight through them without any issues. For the gear, you can go for things like Devoto Devotion and Queen of the Forest, which gives a ton of movement speed and evasion, so you are pretty fast and also very tanky. I actually think I will most likely stick with heist for longer, even though I don't really like heisting that much. But after the changes to the blueprints, heist is actually looking pretty good and also very interesting. Now blueprints have no type, so it's even easier to buy them, and all the rewards have a chance to show up in every blueprint. So you always have a chance for rare bases and replica uniques, but if you don't get any of them, there still should be at least some currency for you to take. If I go logbooks, I probably would stick with 2-gen logbooks because profit from them is pretty straightforward. You just farm artifacts and exchange them for currency. And Toxic Rain is very good for logbooks because in logbooks there is a ton of remnants that give monsters a block, damage avoidance, and different kind of shields. And Toxic Rain is damage over time build, so it just goes straight through all of them. So you always deal full damage. Of course, you still have to avoid some remnants, like monsters are immune to chaos damage, but there is definitely not that many bad remnants for Toxic Rain. Blighted maps is probably the least possible strategy I am gonna go for, but they are still pretty good, mostly because they provide a lot of jewelry items for Chaos Recipe, and they are pretty cheap, so depending on their price, I might run some of them. So I basically decided that I'm gonna do some heist after level 60, I'm gonna be buying contracts from the vendor, get some initial currency, and after I get around level 70 to 75, I'm gonna go for either more heist, or I'm gonna swap to logbooks or blighted maps, depending on which one looks the best. And that's the one thing that I like to do when I'm planning my league starts, is to always have a backup plan. So for the day one, I have 3 possible strategies. Then if memories fail, for some reason, I can still do my day one strategy. And if for some reason I can't do no-hit runs, I can just continue doing Bestiary memories. Okay, so I think I talked about everything. So to sum things up, I'm gonna start with Toxic Rain, reach level 60, do some heist. Then after around 10 to 15 levels, I might swap to logbooks or blighted maps, or I might just continue with the heist. Then I'm basically waiting for Bestiary memories to start showing up on trade. And after they start showing up, hopefully I'm gonna have enough currency to start buying them. And I'm gonna farm them until I fully gear up my Stormblood Inquisitor, so probably around 100 to 200 divines, I guess we'll have to see. And I'm gonna start farming no-hit runs, and that should give me enough currency to just basically buy anything I want, because no-hit runs are crazy profit usually. But if you are interested in my POBs for both Toxic Rain and Stormbrand, I'm gonna post them in my Discord. And if you are interested in just Toxic Rain, it is mostly unchanged from the previous leagues, so you can just check out my old videos and use those. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you at the league start.